Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports podcast. On this is podcast Lane Frank. We're now on episode 246. So 246 episodes through, and I got an action-packed episode planned for you. The Super Bowl is set. We're going to have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the New England Patriots next Sunday out in Levi Stadium in San Francisco. The NBA trade deadline, the trade block is heating up with guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo basically requesting a trade. College basketball, best time coming up right now, February through March. We got some great games this week. We got the Australian Open final coming up. Talk a little bit about that. We got spring training coming up in the MLB and so much more to get through in episode 246. Stay tuned. Let's start off episode 246, how we always do, with our headlines. And in the NBA, Giannis Antetokounmpo's exit seems imminent at this point from Milwaukee. Now, I don't know if that exit is tomorrow, whether it's next week, whether it's next month, or whether it's this summer. But Giannis Antetokounmpo is no longer going to be a Milwaukee Buck. I think he has started to accept that and has started to move in the process of, okay, I want to be on a new team, and Milwaukee is acceptant of that. And we're going to see where Giannis Antetokounmpo goes, whether it's Brooklyn, whether it's New York, whether it's Miami, Atlanta, Oklahoma City, Golden State. A lot of options for maybe the world's best player, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, Jason Tatum is still recovering from his torn ACL, torn Achilles, but doesn't want to rush his return. I think that's a great idea. Celtics, I don't know if they're prime position for a championship right now, even if Tatum comes back. So Jason Tatum, not rushing his rehab, the smart thing to do. Tyrese Haliburton looks like he's on that path as well with his rehab. Now, in the NFL, well, we had the great conference championship games. You've seen all that with the Patriots and Broncos game. If I was Sean Payton, I would have kicked that field goal in the second quarter to make yourself get 10 points because that game ended up being 10-7. If I was Sean McVay, I would have gone for more two-point conversions, honestly, in that game against the Seahawks. Neither of those things happened. That's how we have a Seattle versus Patriots Super Bowl 49 rematch. We'll see the Seahawks run the ball this time instead of throwing it in the goal line if we get to a situation like that. But a historic rematch comes back in Levi Stadium this year. Seahawks versus the Patriots next week. Very excited for that. Joe Brady has been named the new head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Now, I don't love this move. I think Buffalo could have used a little bit hard reset, but they're not getting that here. Joe Brady has been on the verge of being fired many times from his Buffalo Bills job. A few years ago, where they were really struggling. Then last year, Josh Allen won MVP, and they were all good. Then this year, it's like, well, is Joe Brady going to get fired? Then the offense did a little bit better, and then they decided to make him their head coach. So was Sean McDermott the issue all along, or is Joe Brady a fraud as well? We're going to see what happens here. If Joe Brady can fix Josh Allen's problems, if he can fix the defensive problems, if he can fix everything going around with this team that has somehow not been able to get over that hump and get to that Super Bowl game. We'll see if they can do it next year. Get to Los Angeles for that Super Bowl with Joe Brady as their new head coach. Todd Monken has been named the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns, just as I predicted. Now, if you go back to the coaching predictions a few weeks ago, I got 3 of them right. I got Harbaugh to the Giants correct, I got Jesse Minter to the Ravens correct, and I got Todd Monken to the Browns correct. Todd Monken was actually in Cleveland's backyard just a few years ago, and they obviously couldn't make him their head coach. They had guys like Freddie Kitchens, Hugh Jackson, Kevin Stefanski as their head coach, but now they want Todd Monken. And Todd Monken has done great things in football, whether it's at Georgia, where he won 2 national championships as their offensive coordinator, whether it was this year where he came this close to becoming the Michigan Wolverines' next head coach, or whether it was his time with the Baltimore Ravens, transforming Lamar Jackson, not just a great runner, but a great passer as well the past 2 seasons. So how will Todd Monken and the Browns do? I think it's a young quarterback room, and that's why they get a good quarterback coach to go in there. Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders. It's a slippery situation in there in Cleveland, and Todd Monken, I think, is the right guy to get it all through. Now in MLB, not too much news. We really have our WBC rosters finalizing. Bo Bichette backing out of playing for Team Brazil. Yoshinobu Yamamoto coming to play for Japan. Got a few other things in there with MLB. Spring training coming up soon. And that's about for the headlines. Now, it's the annual How Do You Fix the Pro Bowl, because Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day is gone for the week. And the first take of the week of the year is always, how do we fix this game? Because it still has not been fixed. From 2021, 2022, 3, 4, 5, we're now in 2026, and this game still sucks. It really does. Now, I actually remember in my childhood when I was a little bit younger, before I turned 18 last week, let's say when I was 10, and this Pro Bowl was great. It was in Orlando. It was a little bit contested. They had the mic'd up always. Drew Brees would bring his kids on the sideline. Remember one year Jared Goff got lit up in the fourth quarter. It was like, whoa, that's football. That's what we want. Now, I don't want anybody tearing their ACL. I don't want anybody getting a concussion. I don't want anything terrible happening in the Pro Bowl. But it's still football. Let's still have some physicality there. It's still a game. It's still what you want to see as fans. Because I do think an all-star game should happen in the NFL. Now, being selected to the Pro Bowl is not an accolade anymore. Guys like Tyler Huntley have been selected to the Pro Bowl. Shedeur Sanders is in the Pro Bowl this year as an alternate. So I really think at the end of the day, in the NBA, we say, well, this guy had this many All-Star Game appearances. Well, I think in the NFL, you would say this guy had this many All-Pros in his career, All-Pro lists. I think that's the better accolade in the NFL than the Pro Bowl. But this game's in Orlando. It used to be in Hawaii. Used to be in Orlando again a few years ago. Then it went to Vegas. Back in Orlando now. Is it the Pro Bowl games? Pro Bowl game? Flag football? Nobody really knows what goes on with this because the Pro Bowl has been dead for years. It used to be very cool when they used to have team captains, when you had Team Michael Irvin versus Team Deion Sanders. You're picking players. It's not just AFC versus NFC. And it was a real game. It was a night game. You don't get that anymore. It's also on a Sunday. I don't get that. I think it should be maybe right after the Super Bowl. What if you do it the Monday after the Super Bowl? I think people would like that. It's a joke, the Pro Bowl. It needs to be fixed. That's my take of the week. Now, top 5. This week's top 5 is the top 5 players on the NBA trade block. Now, NBA trade deadline is always a great time. I can still remember getting home from school in 2018 and seeing the Cavs got rid of everybody. They brought in guys like Rodney Hood, Larry Nance, Jordan Clarkson, but they got rid of guys like Isaiah Thomas, and that was a big deal back in 2018. So the trade deadline is always a fun time, and I'm looking forward to see who gets traded. But here are my top 5 guys on the block. For 5, let's go with actually 2 guys right here. The Memphis boys, John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. This clearly has not worked out over the past few years. It worked in the regular season, but it has never worked in the postseason, and now it doesn't work in either. So I think it's time for Memphis to restart, move on, and get rid of John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. They are both on the Schoolyard trade block. For 4, let's go with Darius Garland. This is why. They brought in Donovan Mitchell, and at the time, this was Darius Garland's team when Donovan Mitchell got brought in. Now, Donovan Mitchell has taken a new role with this team. He's been with them for a while. He's been with them since 2022, 2023. He's been with them for a very long time, and this is his team now. Jalen Tyson, his teammate, said, this is his team, this is his city. I think LeBron's last game in Cleveland, last night, kind of shows that this city has embraced Donovan Mitchell. It's time to move on from Darius Garland. They don't coexist. This has been a rumor for years. I think it finally gets put to bed here, and Darius Garland gets traded. That's number 4. Number 3, an obvious one, but one that's going to happen. Jonathan Kuminga. Now, Jonathan Kuminga's career has been more than disappointing, in my opinion. Now, that might be due to the Warriors, but Jonathan Kuminga coming out of high school wasn't going to be an incredible player. Played overseas for a year, went to the NBA draft, got picked number 7. Everybody thought he was going to be the next Kawhi Leonard. Well, none of that's happened yet for Kuminga. Kuminga has been an average player, I'd say, over his career. I would love to see him take that next step. I don't know if it's on him. I don't know if it's on the Warriors. But that next step needs to get taken, and that can't get taken without being traded. So Jonathan Kuminga gets traded. Number 3. Number 2 on my list, Karl Anthony Towns. This relationship with the Knicks hasn't been great. It really never has been. Gets traded for Julius Randle, and fans were upset about that at the time. Didn't play great when it came to playoff time last year. Mitchell Robinson got hurt, Karl Anthony Towns. And then this year, that Mike Brown-Karl Anthony Towns relationship has been not just fractured, but completely broken from the jump. You've seen the clips of him not getting back on defense. You've seen the clips of him struggling on offense. Karl Anthony Towns, number 2 on my trade block. And number 1, the Greek freak who we just talked about earlier in the headlines, Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's about for top 5. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, did you know? This week's Did You Know is, did you know Bill Belichick has more Super Bowls than any NFL franchise with 8? Bill Belichick has won 8 Super Bowls over his career and still is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. A complete joke by the NFL, in my opinion. And I'm actually going to turn this into a little bit of a segment right here. Because I think that you want to say it was Spygate, it was Deflategate. Well, they still won championships after that, and they still won championships before that. So I think Bill Belichick is the greatest coach in NFL history. It's a shame he's not in the Hall of Fame yet as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Bill Belichick, more Super Bowls than any other franchise in the NFL himself. He himself has 8 rings. Didn't know that? Leave that in the comments. That's about for Did You Know this week. Let's talk about Miami, everybody. And no, I'm not talking about Carson Beck. No, I'm not talking about anything related to the Miami you're thinking of. I'm talking about the Red Hawks, the Miami of Ohio Red Hawks, the school Ben Roethlisberger played at, the school Lee Corso coached at, Miami of Ohio basketball, who is currently undefeated with over 20 wins. 21-0, the Miami Red Hawks, ranked number 24 in the country right now. The only other unbeaten team, Arizona. But Miami Red Hawks, out of the MAC, are undefeated, and they're having a great season. But nobody really knows that much about them in their program. So I'm here to tell you. They haven't made the NCAA tournament since 2007, but this is obviously a great year for them. They might even get an at-large bid the way they're playing at this point. Really just a great year all around. 25 wins they had last year, and this year I think they're going to match that next month because that's how good they have been. They have their first ranking this year since 1998, and I'm even surprised they've been ranked before. They've actually made the Sweet 16 4 times. So this is a good basketball program, actually, historically. They have more NCAA tournament wins than the formerly undefeated 20-1 Nebraska Cornhuskers, who still don't have an NCAA tournament win. But the Miami Red Hawks are going to get another one this year, it looks like, and they're going to get a good seed. Usually the MAC winner doesn't get a good seed. They usually get the 14 seed, 15 seed, 16 seed, and 13 if they're lucky. Well, this team, they might end up as a top 8 seed because of how good they're playing. Ranked basketball, the Miami Red Hawks head coach Travis Steele actually was the head coach at Xavier after Chris Mack left them in 2018 to go to Louisville. Travis Steele took over, was the head coach from 2018 to 2022, and it was terrible. I'll say it right there. The Musketeers were not good in Travis Steele's time there, but he reinvented himself, went to Miami that same year in 2022, hasn't made the tournament yet his whole entire career coaching, 2018 to 2026, but this year, the Red Hawks are looking lucky to do this in a stage of NIL, where it's hard to find somebody to go to Miami of Ohio. You have to lie to guys, say, yeah, we're Miami, we're great. The Red Hawks, not Miami Hurricanes, but we're Miami. And that's what Miami, Ohio is right now. Great basketball program. Good to give them a little spotlight. Some small-town, mid-major love. The best one major this year isn't Gonzaga. It isn't St. Mary's. It isn't St. Louis. It isn't Dayton. It isn't Davidson. It's the Miami Red Hawks. And that's about it for my spotlight this week. Let's do a what lane would I take on this Charles Bediako, Alabama, NIL, little eligibility situation we've got going on here in college basketball. Now, here's the full backstory. Charles Bediako was a center who played 2021, 2022, and 2022, 2023. He has not been in college basketball since I was a freshman in high school. I am a senior now. He actually signed a 2-way contract with the G League, meaning that he can get called up at any moment and play an NBA game, leading up to 2 weeks ago when he decided to leave whatever G League team he was on and go play again for Nate Oates in Alabama basketball due to getting a temporary restraining order by an Alabama judge that is a $100,000 donor to the university. Now, I'm not here to talk about Tuscaloosa politics. That's a great place, Tuscaloosa. And what happened. That's great for them that they get Charles Bediako back. I just don't know how long it'll last, and I don't know how good it is for the game. Because when I think of it, to say Nate Oates is having conversations with Charles Bediako to come back to his team, and at any moment Charles Bediako can get called up to play for his NBA team, and then his eligibility is just poof, gone. I mean, that's terrible for the game. It really is. This guy hasn't been in college basketball for years and can come back now. I can think of plenty of college basketball players I would love to see come back that still have eligibility. What about Udoka Azubuike, who haven't played in the NBA? What about Oscar Tshiebwe? I know he's trying to come back right now. The rebound legend. It just sets a bad precedent. Now, Nate Oates, Alabama basketball coach, said it best. He said, well, I don't like it, but if it's possible, we're going to do it. It's not taking away a high school scholarship because we had an open roster spot. We're going to get Charles Bediako because we have that open roster spot. Let's do that. The NCAA right now is a complete joke. It really is. because a court order overriding the NCAA allows them to play. The NCAA is a private organization. They can enforce whatever they want, seems like, but that also means that the court, Congress, can block any NCAA rule they see fit. And that's what's happening here in this case, in the case of guys like Puff Johnson, in the case of a lot of guys across the country. It really is. And Congress has reshaped and can reshape the whole system of college athletics because, mind you, the NCAA still has a rule that you can only transfer once and have immediate eligibility. Congress has blocked that rule and said, no, you can transfer as many times as you want and get eligibility right away. But the day that gets blocked and Congress stops doing that, well, guys that you see transfer more than once in college football, like a Darian Mensah, wouldn't have eligibility tomorrow if Congress changed their mind today. Just the way it is in college sports right now, it's completely backwards. Now, if you want to say, Lane, why does Charles Bediako not get to go back to Alabama, play his 4 years, get his education, just because he played a little bit in an American minor league system, G League, but a guy like Omer Mayer of Purdue basketball who played in the European League, a guy on Illinois basketball, a lot of Illinois basketball players, let's go with Tomislav Ivicic, who played overseas pro league, gets to go play for them now, even though he played pro, but a guy like Charles Bediako who played pro can't do that. I agree, it's completely backwards. I enjoy seeing these European guys who played pro and then come play college basketball. They get an education and they go route to go to the NBA, and it sets them up nicely for when they go to the NBA because they've had that experience playing college basketball. It's good for the sport, in my opinion, but it's just bad, the precedent it sets. It really does. That this European player can play pro, but Americans can't. That's the precedent set right now by the NCAA, by Congress, by a lot of people. Now, I don't know if Charles Bediako is going to keep on playing. I don't think he should. I don't think it's good for the sport if he keeps on playing. NIL has really blurred the lines between amateurism and professionalism because Charles Bediako is going to be making a lot more if he plays at Alabama next year than if he does playing for the San Antonio Vipers. That's my take on this whole situation. You shouldn't allow American pro experienced players to come back, especially if they've already given up their eligibility. Because, I went to Michigan last week. We were talking with that coaching staff. It's like, well, this is Trey Burke's retirement night. Trey Burke has 2 years eligibility left. What's stopping Michigan from getting a temporary restraining order and playing Trey Burke tomorrow night or tonight? Really nothing in the eyes of Congress at this point, in the eyes of what the joke of the NCAA has become. Because they can say that's wrong. They can say whatever they want. They're not going to win these battles right now in college sports. And that's what lane I would take on this whole situation. It's bigger than just a Charles Bediako. Now, the best for last question of the day. This week's question of the day is, should NFL officiating be revamped? We saw it all season long, and, well, we definitely saw it in the playoffs. Brandon Cooks plays like Cooper Kupp. Is he at the first down mark? Is he not? Why can't Sean McVay challenge a play like that? PIs, questionable calls. Does NFL officiating need to be revamped? I think it brings an interesting part to the game where, yes, mistakes can be made, but I don't want the mistakes to be made not by the players, by the officiating crew. I think that's a mistake here. Now, football is going to be a very hard sport to officiate by robots, and I don't know if that will ever happen in my lifetime. I think things can be controlled like getting to the first down marker. Maybe like, is this ball a catch? But plays like passing interference, holding, I don't know if that stuff will ever get fixed in football. Sports like baseball, it's going to be very easy to officiate starting soon. Maybe basketball too, but for football, completely different league. Does the NFL need to revamp its officiating system because of what happened in this playoff run? Leave your answers in the comments. That's about for question day this week. That's about for Schoolyard Sports and Lane Frank, episode 246. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram at Schoolyard Sports. Follow Schoolyard Sports on X at Schoolyard Sport. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the world. Back here next week, episode 247. Stay tuned.